I'm a scat man. I'm a scat
Good Friday morning, I'm Matt Crothers, and welcome to another installment of everyone's favorite 30-minute horse racing program. It's time for Blinkers Off. Crothers might have finished last in the Cheltenham Cup, but Scatman has a big chance of prevailing and winning the Grade 2 $500,000 Rebel at Oaklawn Park on Saturday. We are all over that race. The Azeri, the Excelsior, and so much more. Very special guest scheduled for this 30-minute program as well, and he's a special man as well. He now joins me. He's the voice of Oaklawn Park from Hot Springs, Arkansas, a man whom is a self-proclaimed chalk-eating weasel. So I'm guessing in the Oaklawn Park NCAA bracket pool that you have there, you went with 4 #1 seeds. He's Frank Miramati. Frankie, not that I know you guys probably don't do that there because that's not legal, but you do it for the fun of it probably, and you probably picked the 4 #1s.
Well, anytime there's a blinking light and there's a 5 underneath that part of the fraction mat, I just get that extra warm and fuzzy feeling. There's nothing quite like taking the short price, because then you have to ask yourself, do I get $3.20 or I get $3.40? Sometimes that 20 cents means so much.
It's going to be a huge day at Oaklawn on Saturday, and I was thrilled, being the weather dork that I am. Before the show, I checked the weather because early in the week, thought it might be some rain for the Rebel, but it looks like it's going to be a glorious day tomorrow. No chance of rain, partly cloudy skies, decent temperatures, so we should have a fast main track, right?
And we're going to have an enormous crowd on hand, Matt, because this is the second biggest weekend of the meet, and it's going to be crazy. And I think that Simon and Christina are going to be overwhelmed with what they see here.
Yeah, and you got to be pumped up too for this kind of a weekend.
How can you not be?
Right?
Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to.
If you're not excited for this,
we're going to scatter our way to break, and when we come back, we will discuss. Not only is it an important Derby race, not only is it a $500,000, not only is it Grade 2, giant field, great betting race. Talk about the Rebel in a moment. Welcome back to Blinkers Off. Always a great way to kick off your racing weekend, and we're going to begin the Rebel, Grade 2, $500,000 prep. $500,000 prep for the Arkansas Derby, April 14th at Oaklawn Park. Field of 13, 12 betting interests. And Frank Miramati, before we talk to our guest who's waiting on the line right now, Unbridled Note, the 2. This is a horse that you liked in the Southwest. He got a lot of action. He didn't break real well. He went up at 3-1. He was bet down from like a 12-1 morning line. How bad was that break? How bad was his trip, and can he rebound?
he had absolutely no chance the way he broke. He just came out of there very dull. Then he was at the back of the pack. He had no chance at any point in time. So if you liked him last time, 20-1 is a huge number on this horse because, you know, he has some skill, he has talent, and he had no, it was, to say eliminated would be the appropriate word at the start. He just was never comfortable.
Now, we're going to cover a lot of the horses in this field, obviously give selections, but right now, we're going to introduce our guest, who's on the line right now, the trainer of the three, Scatman, lightly raced son by Scat Daddy. He's only raced 5 times in his career. Michael Lauer on the line right now, trainer of Scatman. Michael, are you there?
Yes, how are you?
Doing great. You must be pretty excited. I was reading up on you that you're a graduate from Ohio State University, majored in history, and your Buckeyes looked pretty good against Loyola Maryland last night. You won by 19. Tough game against Gonzaga in the second round. Are you a big hoops guy?
Yeah, I follow it a lot, yeah, especially during the tournament.
Okay, so you probably have Ohio State win the whole thing, I'm guessing. Scatman, his performance in the Southwest. 46-4 for the half mile. In the other division of the Southwest, in which Castaway was able to score for Bob Baffert, they went 48 for the half. So considering the fast fractions, considering it's a first route race, considering it was a second start off a 3.5-month layoff, even in defeat, in losing a close race, you had to be very pleased.
Oh, yes. We were thrilled to death the first time around 2 turns, and he fought hard to the end.
And, you know, you got the lead, obviously, in the Southwest. Are you worried about more pace pressure? Because, obviously, you know, you have Secret Circle again. Maybe if Unbridled's note breaks better, he's going to go. You have a fresh horse in Sabercat. Or can Scatman rate, I guess, what I'm trying to say, if he needs to?
Yes. And the first time he ran down here, he rated off the pace. He delayed a little off the pace and then made a run then. And, yeah, I think he can rate.
At what point did you know that you had a real good horse on your hands? Was it immediately? Was it before his first start?
Well, I didn't have him until the first
Right,
start.
Keneally had him, right.
Yes. Ebree's good coming up to the first, but he really impressed me the first time he ran here because I didn't think he was as tight as, I didn't think I had him nearly as tight as he ran.
How much stronger is he going to be in the lane? I mean, you could argue he needed that last start, as I mentioned, first route. You know, it was only his second start since October 13th. If he's in the same position in the Rebel on Saturday, you know, even though the field's a little bit better, he's going to have a little bit more stamina to his game. How much fitter will he be?
I think he'll be fitter. It just depends on the pace. You know, the race is the pace.
Matt, I had a quick question.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Frank.
Because of his inside draw, first of all, I'm a huge fan of Scat Daddy. I think 17.5 as a stud fee is going to get much closer to 100,000. Yes. His horses are winning everywhere. And by the way, your horse looked amazing on the track, Mr. Lauer, before the Southwest. He just really had that look of a horse ready to rock and roll. But with your inside draw, your hand is pretty much forced. You can't really take back from there. Don't you have to send from the rail? I mean, you're right next to the rail. You're one from the rail here.
Well, I don't know if we have to send, but I don't know how far we would want to take back. And the horse inside, if he breaks tomorrow, should be up in the first group too. So I'm really not sure. I'm not sure what we're going to do right now.
Mike, I was reading that you've been training for over 30 years. I think most of your horses are in Indiana and Kentucky. Is that right?
Yes.
And that you've been to, what, 40 Kentucky Derbies, but always as a fan. So obviously going to the Derby has been not only a dream of yours, it's been a dream of yours for a long, long time, right?
Well, it's kind of a dream of anybody that gets to thoroughbred racing. And, I mean, yeah, I've seen a lot of them. But, yeah, it's always been a big dream to get in, to have a horse of that quality.
You strike me as somebody who probably doesn't get too caught up in the hype. I mean, it's some trainers, they have a horse with a little ability. Oh, Derby, we have a chance of winning it. You seem like a pretty reserved guy, smart guy, and that you probably don't get caught up in it. Is it fair to say that you're probably like a take it one race at a time kind of guy in the Derby, even though we're a couple months away? It might as well be a year away as far as you're concerned?
Yeah, before the Southwest, I said that we're a light year away from it. Now we're getting a little closer, but we're still, still a long way.
What does he have to do in the Rebel to move forward, to go ahead in the Arkansas Derby and then hopefully potentially the Kentucky Derby? How strong of a race does he have to run Saturday?
Well, he needs to run the first group, the first placings of horses. Say 1 through 5, but he has to be close.
Right, I'm a gambling man. I see 8-1 morning line.
Yes, I saw that too.
On Scatman. I mean, how confident are you going into this?
I think he'll run good, and I think he'll move forward off his last race. I mean, he's trained forwardly off his last race. All we can do is see what happens. I mean, I think it's a good group of horses. There's some new ones. And plus, there's the ones that ran last time. And I think some of them will run better than they did the other day. Yeah,
do you look at it like, hey, Secret Circle's going to be your heavy favorite. Secret Circle's 9-5 morning line. Secret Circle might go off as low as 7-5 or 8-5 in this race. And I nearly beat him when I was doing something for the first time, and I probably needed the race.
Right. I think there's 6 or 7 horses have a chance in here to run big. There might even be more than that. I mean, I wouldn't want to be playing trifectas because you'd have to go quite deep.
It's definitely a good trifecta race. It's a great betting race. It's the $500,000 Grade 2 Rebel, field of 13, 12 betting interest, race 10 at Oaklawn on Saturday. Mike Lauer's joined us here on Blinkers Off, trainer of Scatman. Good luck with your Ohio State Buckeyes in the NCAA tournament, and best of luck with Scatman.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Michael Lauer, been a trainer for over 30 years, has had success with the Q. Luis Quinones over the year as well, and Quinones will be aboard. Pretty reserved guy, huh, Frankie? I mean, he's...
They say opposites attract. This is a perfect situation. I mean, he couldn't be more different personality-wise than you, Matt, with your energy and excitement. So, and I'll say this about Louis Q. He is riding terrifically. That's not even a word, but sometimes I know on TVG we make up words. But he is having a tremendous meet. He's riding well. He put on an absolute clinic aboard Alternation last week here, and Louis Q is the right man to have.
He's been an outstanding rider for as long as I've known him, which is about 20 years. More on the Rebel. Okay, so we're gonna get to Secret Circle. So Unbridled's Note, you think has a chance because you're forgiving his last race to a certain extent, is what you were saying.
You have to draw a line through that particular race.
He's an interesting horse, I guess. Asmussen, Channing Hill, Secret Circle. Yeah, I mean he did win the Southway. He did beat Scatman. You could argue that he needed the race a little bit as well in this spot. 102 Beyer, 137, full second quicker than what his stablemate Castaway did in the other division. And you think he's going to come right back and improve out of this effort, I guess, if you think that he's going to win the Rebel Saturday.
I think he's going to take a giant step forward. I'll tell you what, I've been very skeptical of Secret Circle ever since he won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Sprint because he drifted out. And then in the Southwest, he drifted out again. But when you watch that replay, this horse is learning right now, Matt. He's bred to be able to handle an additional bit of distance. He's by Eddington. And you just have to trust Bob Baffert. Yeah. He and Castaway worked together, but he blew Castaway right out in that most recent work, even though they were, yes, he did. He absolutely schooled him, and that's why Castaway is on his way to Sunland as opposed to coming back here. So if you think about it, Bob Baffert knows what he's doing with his young horses. He's done it time and time again. And when I come up with my selection for this race, Matt, I wanted so badly to pick Adigan because that's the right thing to do from the standpoint of value and price.
Really?
This is a horse that I think he has a giant chance in here. I think he's going to finish second. But I believe the right horse is Secret Circle because there are going to be other skeptics, and I think you'll get every bit of the 9-5.
Cold Exacta. 8-9.
Cold Exacta. 8-9, just keep hitting repeat.
Okay, so what's your angle here with Adigan? Hasn't raced in a couple of months.
He had some feet issues. He had a quarter crack. Look at him. He's coming up to ring it up.
Yeah.
He was a winner every step of the way that race. It's a very deceptive margin. He's going to run a big race. The only reason I didn't pick him on top is because he did have that slight setback with the quarter crack, and I think that Secret Circle is going to be every bit of 9-5. And if you think about it, you're getting plus $1.80 on Secret Circle. He should handle this field. I think he moves up in a big way, and he steps right into the Arkansas Derby next.
You think,
and that's when it's question and answer time. He can handle a mile on the 60.
There's some horses that made all their money at 2 that could not make a penny this year that can run in the Kentucky Derby because of earnings as a 2-year-old. A couple of those horses are running in an allowance race at Gulfstream because they don't need the graded stakes earnings. You think it's a good sign for Sabercat? Doesn't need the money. Won the $1 million Grade 3 Delta jackpot to debut in a Grade 2. Is that a good sign? Because they could have chosen a softer spot because they don't need the money.
In a sense, it is, and Steve Asmussen isn't coming here to prep, but I don't like Sabercat at all in this race. I'll be happy to state that.
Steve Asmussen is saying he's filled out beautifully, that he's a different animal now than he was when he won the Delta jackpot.
I read that article. In fact, when I read that, I'm thinking, here's Steve Asmussen, who wins more races than anybody year in and year out. You should trust him over my opinion, but it's just hard. It's just hard for me to live with the Delta jackpot winner coming in against these horses with the experience over the track and beating them.
Frank,
I have to be harsh.
I should trust Steve Asmussen's opinion over you, but you should trust your opinion over his.
All right.
That's the way.
I'm tossing Sabercat right out.
Okay.
If he wins, I'm completely wrong.
You know me,
I won't be biased in the call. If he's running well, he'll get all the accolades that he deserves. But I'll be stunned if he wins the Rebel.
And again, we're all about honesty on this show. On the other show I do, 58 Flash.
This show is different.
The show is different. And so feel free to go after my selection here. I just see a wide open race.
Not Sabercat.
No, not Sabercat. No,
okay.
I'm going with Jake Moe in this race, the 6, who's 20-1 morning line. You know, I thought he ran well off the left in the Smarty Jones, a race in which the closers did pretty well. He was part of the pace. And then in the Southwest, I thought he made a little bit of a middle move, Frankie, and we talked about how slow the internal fractions were. They were slow in this race. I mean, Castaway sat second. The half was 48. Scatman, again, 46-4 in the other division. And I thought Jake Moe, to basically rally from 7th to finish 2nd into those slow fractions, Horse by Giacomo should like the added distance. Seems to really like it at Oaklawn. Seems to be getting better. Has trained very well out of that race, at least on paper. I see workouts that I don't see before the Southwest. You know, local rider and Clip Berry, 24%. I think this horse makes a little bit of sense at 20-1. No?
I don't believe so, but I wish you all the best, my friend. And I love the orange silks. He'll be easy to spot if he's making that winning move.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go Jake Moe. Frank basically saying 8-9, and even though the Secret Circle's chalky, you know, Adigan's 12-1 in a big field, so Frank pretty strong about that.
Better buy a slight 9-8 just in case. If Adigan fire, Ken McPeak's on fire right now. He won 3 in a day at Gulfstream, what, about a week and a half ago?
Yeah.
So that's the only one that could beat Secret Circle.
My man Mike Lauer was saying play the trifecta, 8-9 all, 9-8 all for your trifecta as well. The Azeri, it's a grade 3. It's about an hour. It'll take place about an hour before the Rebel on Saturday. And interesting, you know, only a field of 5 in here. And, you know, the bettors are still going to make this a match race, and that's what the morning line sort of indicates. Absent-minded, do you go with the runner that's in great form, that loves it at Oaklawn, or do you go with the filly that might have a gaudier resume to a certain extent, and people might feel is a classier racehorse in Joyful Victory? Are you going current form, or are you going class, absent-minded versus Joyful Victory?
You don't bring the second string in here after absent-minded. I believe firmly in my heart that if Havre de Grace had shown up for this race, absent-minded was going to give her everything she wanted and then some.
I agree with you.
Because she was coming out of the Breeders' Cup. I think absent-minded is getting zero respect from the fans repeatedly on the tote board. She's an absolute standout once again. Joyful Victory better run the race of her life with an exclamation point and bold type to get close to her. She is right now smoking hot. And Dwayne Lucas's work with fillies over the years is well documented. And this mare here is going to be very tough to deny.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartily with what you just said. I love the fact that in not only the way she finished in the Bayakoa we showed you, she sat behind Dawn Lane in that race, who ended up finishing last, by the way.
Yes. Put
her away, pulled away from other runners that are in this race. She's all in, was not a factor at all. Tismiss Sue, a very distant second, who I selected in the Bayakoa. And if that's not enough, not only is she in the best form, not only is she 5 for 9 at Oaklawn and 1 for 19 at any other racetrack, she's a lone F in this spot.
Yeah, she's on top of her game. She's on the top of her game, and I'll tell you what, Dwayne Lucas has gone out of his way to compliment Terry Thompson the way that he has ridden this mare. He's done a great job with her, and he just needs to be the perfect passenger once again. And then hopefully Larry Jones sends the A-team out here for a big showdown in the Apple Blossom.
Yeah, that Joyful Victory, you know, was kind of all out to win the Tiffany Lass. I mean, she was 4 to 5 in that race. I mean, after a couple of huge wins in the Honeybee and the Fantasy, I don't know if she's really run a good race, a really good race since. And to beat absent-minded, she has to run a great race, I think.
But at least she knows that she loves this track. And Larry Jones was here yesterday, and he was lauding the surface here. He was very complimentary. I met him for the first time yesterday, and all I kept saying is, please send the horse of the year here for the Apple Blossom. Whatever, every other sentence, I just said, please send her here.
He's a track announcer. He's the mayor. He's Frank Miramati. Picks recaps from last week, and we'll get Frank's thoughts on the Excelsior after our last break of the program. And picks recaps for last week. Let's take a peek right now. Oh, it was myself and PC, Pat Cummings. Okay, I was second at even money. That's always exciting. I was second at 3 to 1. That's exciting. On Fire Baby, a win. I was second every race. So aggressive. Thank God we're doing the win place thing this year. That's saving me, Steve. Steve's my stage manager, for those of you who are aware of that. And Blingo was his name, L-B-L-I-N-G-O. 6th at 9 to 1. ROI, it's not hellacious, Steve. It's not, I mean, it's not great. I say it's great, but it's okay. It's all right. I'm a little under 500 right now. A little under 500. I'm like the New York Knicks or the Minnesota Timberwolves with Ricky Rubio. Play of the day. I think it's a really good card in New York, and the best betting race that I could find at Aqueduct is race number 10. It's a field of 12, and there's so many runners that make sense. And I like a price horse here. 15 to 1 morning line in the 10, Too Tough Jake. Third star off a layoff. These are 7,500 claimers in race number 10. Too Tough Jake has been facing Mindswept, Wise Stop, Coal Town Legend, Fala, who went 9-3. There's only been a couple of sub-110 6-furlong races, the inner dirt this meeting. Black Pen, who with David Jacobson a couple of years ago earned a buyer of 102. He's faced a ton better. He's 5 for 20 in his career, substantial class drop. I like Too Tough Jake at a decent price in a wide open 10th in New York. Time for another commercial break. We come back to the Excelsior we'll discuss from New York.
In this instance, the only consideration that Hollywood is getting, which has been at my insistence, is investments that are going to be made in marketing and physical improvements. And we think it's very necessary for that to be the way it is because of our obligation to our fans and our continuing obligation, you know, to California racing.
That was president of Hollywood Park Racing Association, Jack Liebau, as Betfair goes to Hollywood. Relax, don't do it when you want to go to it. And it's going to be very cool, as Mr. Liebau indicated. I mean, Frank Miramati joined me right now. We have about 4 minutes left in the show. I mean, me and you both, you're a Southern California guy. I spent a lot of time as a kid in Southern California. And Hollywood Park's great, and it's something that's near and dear to the two of us. But as great as it is, you know, it needs some tweaking, it needs some innovation, it needs some changes when it comes to technology. Now with the association with Betfair, it's going to get that.
It's very exciting. I'll tell you what, I would have loved to be a fly on the wall during the meeting between Mr. Liebau and Stephen Byrne, two very sharp guys.
Yeah.
That would have been good. I mean, you know, you're a line maker. I mean, what was the line there? Is it just minus 120 either way with which guy got the best of that deal?
That's a good line. You know, flies, their life expectancy is like 3 days. So never say you want to be a fly.
If they're anywhere near me, I'll do everything I can to shorten that.
They don't live very long.
I agree.
The Grade 3 Excelsior it's been lovely weather on the East Coast. The only place the weather's been diseased is out here in Southern California, where it's supposed to pour all weekend. And it's a 6-pack. This was, again, for a 6-horse field, Frank Miramati, it's impossible to say that a 6-horse field's a great betting race. This is as good a betting race as you can have, considering it's a small, compact field of 6. And I don't think Inherit the Gold's the favorite at 6-1 morning line, but so we'll change that. But Bird Run.
Keep that highlight right where it is, my friend.
Let me ask you about the two here. Hasn't raced since the Breeders' Cup Marathon. Second that race to a Fleet Again, who won that race at about 1,000,000 to 1. The only person who bet a Fleet Again was the Sundance kid, Tom Cassidy. What do you make of this horse coming back at 1 1/8 here?
He'd be looking for a minor award because
he's a good racehorse.
There, he is a very good racehorse. He's earned almost $600,000.
He can show speed at 1 1/8.
He has a chance in this spot, but I like the horse right next door to him, the one that was highlighted. I like the New York bred. He's honest.
We're together here, Frankie. We're together.
He's the most proven at the distance, and he just burnt chalk against Lesser, one of my favorite angles of all time. If they burnt chalk against Lesser and then they step up, get the price. This is a very strong angle.
And there's pace. Redding Collery from the inside, who's back in good form, who's 2 for 2 over the inner dirt. This is a multiple graded stake winner, won the Hawthorne Gold Cup back in October of 2010. Maryland's guy in San Pablo coming out of a race that might have took something out of him. The thing about Inherit the Gold that I like too, that last start, nobody wanted to lead. So Stormy's Majesty said, I'll take it, and went to the front all by himself and got with a 47 2/2, and that really compromised the chances of Inherit the Gold, who still closed into that soft pace to lose by half length. Frank, we got to run. Have a great weekend.
I got to give you my play of the week, man. I got to make you some money right after the Rebel. Boomer in the finale. Boomer. Nightmare Trip stretches out. Boomer. Very easy name right after the Rebel.
Frank Miramati, appreciate Frank anytime he comes in the program. We'll do again next time, March 23rd, 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific. Also like to thank Mike Lauer, the trainer of Scatman, for joining us. I am done. More racing from Cheltenham. 2 minutes away from race number 5. We go to Rich Perla. Give me again. Extra Damas.